Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ME7 Podcast. We're absolutely delighted to be joined by Managing Director Joe Comper. Joe, you've had a bit busy week and a half, haven't you?
Yeah, crazy actually, and it goes from like if you're a football fan, you think, oh, it'd be brilliant, and it is at first. You're like, okay, this is interesting, this is exciting, and after a while, you sort of like actually being the person or one of a group of people who are making the decision. It's more difficult than you'd think. Like it's easy to sit at home. I'd have an opinion from the outside on clubs and go, oh, they should have that manager, they should have that manager. We're like, well, okay, he might not be not available. We might have had a falling out of him. We might have, there's all these different things that come into play. And when you're the person who actually has to make the decision, or like, one of our little group of four that we had, there's a lot more sleepless nights.
You were probably looking at our Twitter every time we put up a new name during the week and thinking, only if they knew.
You know what I find really peculiar, and you'd even get Brad go, who's this guy? And it's like everyone thinks he's like one of the favourites, and he's that he hasn't even been discussed. And there's a couple of them that come out where people, like a real rumour that was building, real people talking about it, and you're thinking it's not even been discussed, like let alone met the person. Yeah. Obviously, some of them are accurate, like obviously, like Mark, people seem to be coming out a little bit before it was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a couple of names who were mentioned like heavily, and you're going, no, like we haven't even spoken about them, let alone met them. Really weird. I don't know how it happened.
Let's go back to the I guess last Monday. Yeah, you parted ways with obviously Stephen Clements. I guess we're starting the process from there then. Just go into a little bit about what happened and what else.
So we met Monday morning. Myself, Brad, Shannon, and Kenny, and we was talking. The first thing was, okay, let's talk about the plans for Steve and Robbie, and that was really difficult actually because they're two top blokes. Really like them. That they worked really hard for the club, and we had to sort of really look and go, okay, if we are going to do something, it needs to be now. We can't wait weeks. We don't want to start the season and then decide, oh no, we should have made a change. It had to. We felt like for us to recruit properly, for us to learn lessons from the past, for us to do things properly, we needed to make a decision, be a bit brave, whatever we do, and go with it. Unfortunately for those guys, our decision was that we felt we would be better served with a change. I see a lot of comments about they should have had time, and I'm sure they feel that way, and I can understand that. And had it not been a break in seasons, maybe they would have got that time. But for us, we didn't want that time to be at the start of a season. And that's unfortunate for them. And I sympathise. But for us, it was about, okay, whatever we do, we've got to give it the best possible chance, and that means giving someone the summer. We decided we were going to make a change. We then went, okay, what is that change going to look like? We didn't want a long process. Obviously, when there was the change between Neil and Steve, there was quite a long period of time. We didn't want that to be the same this time round. So we had we drew up a list of targets. We had a criteria that we'd sort of set. That criteria was we were looking for people who had won promotion out of League 1 or 2. So they'd worked at this level. That was our hope. We wanted someone who had done the job before. We felt it was a risk to go down the route of a first time head coach again. So it was like, okay, we wanted someone who's done it, and we wanted someone who's been promoted at this level. We weren't necessarily looking for someone who's managed in the Premier League or the Championship for their whole career and was dropping down. We wanted someone who would come in and know the league. So we drew up a list of targets that we thought fit that criteria. Mark was obviously one of those. And then we went about targeting the list. Kenny Jackett knows every single person in football. See his phone book. I don't even know if there's a limit on numbers, but I'm like, oh look, I can try and get their number, and Kenny's like, I got it. And it's incredible. So we started attacking the list. before we even got to going through the list, some people came to us as soon as they heard the announcement. There was people on that list who approached us, and then I mean, it got announced Monday afternoon, and by 9:30 the next day on the Tuesday, we were meeting people. We met 3 people on the following day, which tells you a lot about the job at Gillingham, like how appealing it is for people, and I think it tells you a lot about Kenny. We can, he is a draw. He's attractive to people to work with. He's a man of integrity. They trust him. So we met 3. One of those 3 was Mark. We made a point of driving out 2 people because we thought we couldn't, we didn't want to demand people. It would be quicker for us. We're the ones with a bit of urgency. So we ended up driving all the way around the M25, driving out to the sort of West Country. We set about the list. Basically.
Be careful because people are going to look at that West Country now and go, who for the West Country is out of work?
we weren't quite in the West Country, but we were in that direction. But really, what it was about was people, rather than people having to come all the way over to, like Mark, for example, rather than him coming down to us, we met him halfway, and it was sort of what we were doing, meeting people sort of in their direction.
You mentioned about the criteria, and obviously they had to be promoted, or they had to have on their CV promotion out of League One or League Two. What other things were important to you from a club point of view that they needed to bring?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, the different dynamics. So obviously there's four of us in the room, Brad, Shannon, me, and Kenny. And we're all looking for something a little bit different. Like Kenny is talking formation, style of play, and going into real detail now. Like people like us, and a lot of people from outside the game, if you like, we would sit there and go, oh, does he play 4-4-2? Does he play 4-2-3-1? Does he play 4-3-3? Well, actually, when you talk to someone like Kenny or Mark, they'll talk about a 4-3-3, but then they'll talk about it in all sorts of different formations, like how it works, and when we're out of possession, when we're in possession, it's like, and so he was really looking at that side of things and going into detail. I'm looking at what's the character like? Are they gonna come in and work with what we've got? How are they gonna get the best out of the team that we've got in place? We're doing. You would have heard it. You're probably sick of hearing it from people from the club, but we're doing a lot of work on the culture of the club and what it looks like, what it feels like. So for me and for Shannon, she's definitely huge on this. It's like Shannon's looking at what's the culture like? What's the are they going to fit our culture? Are they going to add to the culture rather than want to change it? So yeah, we're all looking for something a little bit different. But we started off with wanting to get out of the league, and then the rest of the stuff was okay. From all the people who have done that on their CV, who's the best fit.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned about culture and it being really important to someone like Shannon. That there was a tweet from a Cambridge fan yesterday that Mark not only built the team on the pitch, but it was really valuable to him to build it off the pitch, and he built that real rapport with the community side of things as well. And yeah, I guess it's quite interesting, isn't it? Is that you don't. I mean, from supporters' point of view, we're not going to see that, are we? That we're just looking at it from a results based.
Yeah, that's it. But ultimately, I think if you build the right environment, the results will come. It's. I don't want to put a weighting on what's more important or not, but there's no good having a squad of brilliant footballers who all hate each other and hate being at the club. Because they won't deliver, they won't perform. Likewise, you can have a great culture with a team that aren't quite good enough. All right, you've probably got more chance of getting something out of those players and getting them to overachieve. But we need a balance. We've got a budget that's competitive. We're upgrading some of the facilities this summer to try and help with that culture and that environment. And we wanted someone who was going to lead it. What we didn't want is someone who was going to. We're not looking for like a yes man, someone who's just going to follow and do as they're told, if you like. We want someone who's going to come in and go, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is where we're going, and drive the thing. And we were looking for that. We were looking for someone with a clear vision. And yeah, but when we're doing our due diligence on Mark, that was one of the things that come out of what he built at Cambridge was special. I know people there. Kenny knows people there, and when we were marrying up our due diligence, everyone was saying the same, and that's not a coincidence. That's not like someone ringing around going, "Oh, can you let them know that I'm great?" Like that's just fact, and you see that on social media. The amount of people who've worked at Cambridge or supported Cambridge, they're all saying a similar thing, and as far as I'm concerned, that's because it has to be true.
Yeah. I guess we'll get onto it then. You did appoint Mark Bonner yesterday morning. It took you 1 week and 1 day, which is very quick. Very, very quick in terms of the process. Well before the club need to announce the retain list, which you made that apparently clear last week, that, or certainly Brad did, that it needed to be done by then, that it allowed the new man in charge to come in and put his rubber stamp on that retain list. So you got that done well within the 10 days of it needing to be released. So I guess why Mark Bonner?
Yeah, so I'll touch on the process first, because it's a good point about the speed. It was something Brad was huge on. When we met on the Monday, he said, "I don't want this to be long and drawn out. I want this to be done quickly, but I also don't want to rush it. We don't want to leave stones unturned, right?" We had our list. We worked through the list straight away, but then we also had you inevitably get people coming. People ringing Kenny, people messaging me, like, some of the names of people who, like, you end up in your phone book and you think this is ridiculous. But we actually added, I think we added two people to our list who we hadn't initially had, but they contacted us and was like, "Okay, your CVs are really interesting," and they'd won promotions in other countries rather than here. But we were like, "Okay, does it correlate? Does it work?" So we actually added 2 people to the list. I think in total we saw about seven people. We spoke to 7 people in detail about the job, and we did rush it in terms of the speed we did it, but we didn't rush it in terms of speaking to people. We were, as I say, like I said at the start, we were driving around meeting people. That was because the clock was ticking for us, and we were proactive. So it was a case of, are you free tomorrow? Yeah, great. Brilliant. We're on the way to meet someone. Somebody else is ringing and wants to throw their hat in the ring. Okay, well, can you get here tomorrow? Yep, see you then. We basically dedicated a week just doing that, which we could do because it was the off season. The time period was quick, but I suppose the amount of hours we spent on it was probably normally done over the course of 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You question about how we ended up with Mark. So we met Mark on the Tuesday, and it was a bit more informal, just having a coffee, chatting to him, getting to know him. We really liked him as a character. We really liked what he stood for. We then we carried on our process, met a few people, and we decided that we wanted to see Mark again. So we did. He come down last week, and this is where the odds start. The odds that the bookmakers spot him around the area.
I've seen him driving to the car park.
He presented to us basically on his vision. He presented to us how he saw our squad, the level of detail he had on our squad, the level of information. He clearly worked hard on it, and he clearly done a lot of research. You could tell it wasn't like bodged, because he would go, "Your game against Salford, blah, 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 Ashley Addison, Ollie Hawkins closed the player down, nicked the ball off him, Tim Yang scored," and you sort of lots of things like that where this guy's watched a lot of Gillingham. And he told us not only where it's so easy to go, "Oh yeah, well, you don't score enough goals." Well, brilliant. Like, I could tell you that. The reason I don't get paid to do what I do and not be the head coach is because I can't work out and deliver a team who's going to score goals. Whereas is identifying the problem, but then this is how I would solve it. This is what I'm going to put in place to make you more of an attacking team. We don't just want to hear, "Oh, we're going to be an attacking team." Well, great. Well, how? What does that look like? What does it look like with the squad that we've got? What do you need to add to that squad? And And Mark was really clear on that. He was clear on what we had. He was clear on what he felt we needed. He also was realistic about, okay, well, he suggested some names that he felt could improve us. They're not complete correlation, but there was a couple of those names who are on our list already in terms of sort of recruitment targets. So we felt like he was really aligned with us. He had a real clear plan on what he was going to do, and we really believed he was the guy that was going to deliver what we needed. So really impressive, both in terms of his football knowledge and graft, I suppose, up to that point. But also, the feel and the culture and our due diligence tells us what he's like as a person.
It's quite interesting just watching his interview yesterday, actually, that he did with Phil, the media manager at the football club, and just the way he spoke, the way he come across was clear as day. That he just drew you in and made you want to listen to him. And like you said, that what he stood for was quite apparent, wasn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what I did? I said to him the other day, I did it intentionally. I asked him a question. It wasn't a controversial question, but it was a bit like, I want to hear what you've got to say here, because the answer could go one of two ways. It could be he could have given an answer that he felt we all wanted to hear, or he could have given the truth. And he gave us the truth, and he was like, he sort of said, if that's the person you want, then that's not me. And it wasn't the person I wanted, but I wanted him to see, and is he someone who's going to try and bend because he thinks that's what is the right thing to do? And he wasn't. He was like, this is me. Yeah, and I really loved that. I thought, great. Like we want that strong character, that strong person who's going to go, this is what I am, and it wasn't. I said it. I asked the question intentionally because I wanted to see the response, and I liked what I saw. Strong mind. Very clear on what he wants to do.
It's quite interesting that I think a part of the interview was he was asked about what makes a Gillingham person and a player, and I guess this is no disrespect to the previous manager or previous managers that have been asked where they can't really answer it and they can't really give you a straight answer. But I felt that Mark Bonner got it bang on the money, running through brick walls for that badge.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like my impression of the Gillingham fan base, right? I've been here 3 years, and I think they could be quite unforgiving. And I actually think that becomes from a period of time of they're sick of watching teams not score goals, right? All the time I've been at the club in different roles, it's been, we've been bottom of the league, lowest goal scorers, that sort of thing. But one thing then they're not going to tolerate and they won't have is a team that doesn't work hard and doesn't give everything for the badge. And I think that's what Mark means by a Gillingham player, really, is someone who's going to run. And I know every club wants to hear that, but I really feel like Gillingham is that case. That Rainham end, I've seen the team be doing poorly in the relegation season from League One, that sort of thing. I've been seeing the team not playing particularly well, but when they work hard, they're having them. And they'll get behind them. It's almost like they can tolerate not being good enough. What they won't tolerate is not working hard enough. Mark sort of identified that, and he's going to bring that to Priestfield. That's the plan, and I think that's what we all want. Actually, a team that works hard and grafts and represents the fan base.
Yeah, Mark also mentioned, which I really really like this as well, is that it's obviously come from the club and Brad and Shannon that the expectation next season, we all know it. We might as well put it out there, is promotion. It is that you guys have. So I suppose you guys parting ways with the previous manager would suggest that is why the change is needed, is because we want to be in the top 7 next season. And you obviously guys felt that Mark Bonner is the man to do that. But what I really liked in the interview that he did with the outside media was that one of the reasons he was drawn to the job was the pressure of us getting promoted.
I think where there can be an arrogance about saying we want to be promoted, and I don't think that's where we are. I don't think we think we deserve to be promoted. I don't think we are telling people we're going to be promoted. What we are open to telling people is that actually the expectation is that we are there or thereabouts. We want to be promoted. We have a fan base big enough to be promoted. We have a budget which we are expecting to be big enough to be there or thereabouts. I think we've got a squad, and we're certainly not far off a squad that can be promoted. It doesn't need a complete overhaul. I know some people think it does. Maybe in the heat of the moment after a game has been lost, it doesn't. There's certain parts of data will tell you that there's a foundation there. There's certain characteristics that it needs, and there's certain attributes that it needs. But I don't believe it's too far off. So where we are is, do we want to be promoted? Yes, 100%. We're not ashamed to say it. But we're also not naive enough to think that, you know what, we'll just rock up on the 10th of August and that'll be good. Like we know we've got work to do. We've got work to do with the current squad. We've got work to do around the building and the environment that we're giving the players. We've got work to do on recruitment, like Kenny and Hess, Salim, James in the recruitment department. They've been working for weeks. I've been started to be part of that process. After the last couple of months, they've been building lists, like analysing people, watching games that the amount of data they've been collating, not just data, but in terms of watching games, creating reports, like the amount of work that they've done, and in the last couple of weeks really ramped it up to, okay, these are the people we're attacking. This position, these are the 5 people that we're going after. These are the order. So that they've got 30, 40 people that they've watched over the course of time, but they've narrowed it down to 5. They've done a lot of work on it, and these are the people we're looking for, right, in each position. Now the job is, and this is why we wanted to do things quickly with the new manager, is to go, okay, well, look, here's the lists. What do you think? This is why we think that. These are why we've identified these people. But now getting Mark's input in that, because there's no good us going and getting a striker and going, yeah, great. Even if he scored 20 goals last season, he might not fit the style that Mark wants. So it renders it useless. So Kenny's spinning a lot of plates. He's talking to a lot of agents. He's he's putting in the work to have things teed up. And now Mark has already, yesterday, he arrived in the building yesterday, and straight away within an hour he's talking recruitment. Wow. So that process started yesterday. Today he's already on it and working through those lists to basically go, yes, no, maybe let me do a bit of work, maybe at this amount, but not this amount. So that's the number one priority for us, and that work's well underway.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously about Kenny Jackett and he's pulling into the football club, and a lot of people being attracted of the fact of working with him. Mark mentioned yesterday in his interview that it's hugely helpful to have someone like Kenny Jackett. And the recruitment team have come under a little bit of criticism amongst the fan base and whatever else. But I suppose you're in the best position, Joe, to see how that recruitment team works in, day out, aren't you?
Yeah, I can understand it, right? I do understand it. But I also know from being on the inside and looking at where we are and where we've come to, that the Gillingham recruitment team, albeit same characters, isn't the same recruitment team that it was last summer and before. It's they've developed, they've changed. They're in their roles. They're finding new ways of working. We're organising it. I think we chucked a load of really intelligent people into the room and then really working out, how it worked. Whereas now it's a lot. Kenny is a really thoughtful guy. He's a level head. He's calm. Sometimes he'll sit there and go, don't pay that for that player, because trust me, that's over the odds, and other things will come. And they go. Other times he's going, we should get the checkbook out for that player and go for it. He's been around the game a long time. He knows a lot of people. People trust Kenny, and there's a reason they trust people. There's a reason they trust Kenny. It's because he's been around a long time, and people believe when he talks, they believe him. So he adds real weight to our club. He adds real weight to our recruitment. He adds weight to me. I went to the Crawley game last night at home to MK Dons, and Kenny come along, and I love asking him questions. I love picking his brains, and he's an unbelievable source of knowledge to me, to Brad, to Shannon, and to other people in the building as well. And he will be to Mark. So, I know they get a bit of stick. They had a bit of stick, but I think people should cut him a bit of slack, really, and maybe give him the summer. See what they do this summer, because they're organised. They're working ridiculously hard. They're doing some really good stuff. And I think anyone who's seen, really, me and Brad probably have worked. I think he would agree with me that the work they've done recently is good. And I'm really confident going into the summer.
Yeah, you obviously mentioned that Mark has pretty much started straight away. We're sort of yet to see the retain lists obviously come from the football club without going into names and whatever else. When can the supporters sort of start expecting an announcement?
So obviously the club in general has thoughts on a retained list. We purposely didn't release that retained list until the manager comes in and sees it and has a look at it. There might be players on there that goes, no, actually, I want to keep that player. Actually, that person can go. There's conversations around, you might want to keep a player who's out of contract, but actually they've got offers elsewhere, and for what we need, people would go, okay, that player's a great player. Well, yeah, we all agree. The fan base agrees. We might agree, but actually, we also all agree that we need a striker. We need wingers. We need pace. So all these things. Everyone says all these things that we need. Well, actually, it may be that that person who's out of contract wants money, which we need to spend elsewhere on the pitch. These are the things that come into the equation. So, we're letting Mark sort of have a look at where we're at and make some decisions on that. He's doing research, watching videos on our games this year. He can basically give a final seal of approval on that retained list, and we'll get it out. I'm reluctant to put a date on it. I don't want to be held to a time. We could have it out on Friday, but I'm not promising that. If not, it will be probably early next week. I think the deadline's the end of next week, but yeah, we don't think we're too far away, but we also will. We don't have to have it. I think it's Saturday the 18th. I think we've got to have it in by something. There's no point in us rushing it out on Friday, half baked, when actually, if we just waited a few days, just for the sake of a bit of impatience on all our parts, we might as well wait and make sure Mark's had a good period of time to look at it. But yeah, it'll probably be, if not Friday, the start of next week.
Before we let you go then, Joe, obviously now we've got Mark in place. What do the plans look like now going into the summer, and how does that timeline work? Is there a tour that fans can get excited about or not?
No, there's not a tour plan. So I don't know. I'm guessing I'm allowed to say this. We spoke at length about a tour. The tour, the Como tour, had a real impact. I think at the time it had a great impact on the fan base, and you could argue it had a good impact on our start to the season. What we've decided, it did cost a lot of money. We've decided to spend that money and some on some of the facilities around the place for the first team. So obviously, like, you could go and spend big money on a week in Como or wherever, and that lasts for a week and maybe the following few weeks off the back of it. But we're investing in a new players' lounge, new joinery, new equipment, so the players have got somewhere better to eat breakfast, eat lunch, socialise. Again, I know banging on about the word culture, but it's somewhere where actually they might finish training, but they want to stay there and have a coffee and play darts rather than go to Starbucks up the road. So that's the sort of thing that's important. We're doing a little bit, small amount of work upgrading the changing room, but that'll be more sort of cosmetic stuff. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be a tour, but we've consciously made a decision to spend the money elsewhere, basically.
Good.
Sorry.
Well, you've got it now.
No one cares, but if
what without going into sort of too much and releasing some surprises, what could the fans sort of expect? I know obviously you're improving the first team facilities. Could the fans expect sort of any changes, any improvements, or anything different when they walk through those doors? Come, I guess, home friendlies or even the first home league game of the season.
There's a lot of work going on, but probably not stuff that you'd see. We are having to do big work fixing the leaks in the roofs. Our roofs need work. We're having to upgrade our whole network, so we can, with the new broadcasting agreements, we've got to upgrade the facilities there. As I said, we're doing the players' lounge. There's a few more exec boxes being done. We're making some changes to the offices at the club. For the first team staff at the moment, they're in a dingy little office with no natural light. We're getting them upstairs. They're going to be on the third floor, so you're going to have the first team manager, coaches, the recruitment team, the academy, the whole football department is going to be in the same area. Nicer offices. So we do again. It's about creating that space, that environment that they want to work in. So, okay, do the fans get enjoyment out of nice offices? No, they don't, but they will get enjoyment, hopefully, out of the results of it. We've got one big project which we're working on. Whether it's going to happen, I don't know. Will it happen for the summer? It might start, but it won't be finished. Okay. It's exciting. We're working out the finances of it. You know, whether it's actually going to come off or not. So I'm not going to sit here and promise it. I'm not going to give you the details because that would be a real potential for over promising, under delivering. But and it's not a new Brian Moore stand. So rule any rumours of a new Brian Moore stand. No, it's other things. But hopefully we can tie it up and get something announced.
Good man. Right, Joe. We'll let you go because a busy few weeks ahead of you trying to prepare for the new campaign. But obviously, I'm sure you're delighted to have Mark Bonner as first team manager, and I guess we look forward to seeing how he does.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm just say there's been a real overwhelming positive response. Actually, I know they'll always get certain people. I want that person, but on the whole, probably 90-95% of it has been really positive about Mark, and I was really pleased to see that. Like, you know, we do need to get behind him. He's getting behind the club. He's moving to the area. Like literally next day, he's there. He's in. He's living nearby. He's really throwing himself into it. So you sort of think, actually, he's getting behind us. He's getting behind the club. He's in 100%, and we all need you, everybody out there needs to get 100% behind him. You know. That's how we're all going to be successful. So and I'm really pleased to have him, and I'm pleased that everyone.
I'm absolutely delighted. He was one of the names that I actually text Brad saying that you should go after him. So I might text Brad later and just say I'll have a bit of commission for that, mate. Cheers.
I can't steal my job, but all right. Start working on my podcast skills. Yeah,
I know. But no, congratulations. Obviously, very, very well done for appointing Mark. From I guess from a fan's point of view, it's a really, really good appointment. It's a strong appointment, and well done for getting it done so quickly. I think that was from our point of view, getting it done very, very quickly was very, very important to us. And it looks like a strong appointment in Mark Bonner. So really, really well done. So
thank you very much.
Guys, you've been listening to Managing Director Joe Compler today as the Gills have appointed new first team manager Mark Bonner. Goodbye.
See ya.